Morrell.
Thank you for your time and attentiveness. I know this meeting has run very long, but I'm not going to belabor the point, but I've got a couple of questions I have to ask, and I'm going to apologize in advance if my tenor is not what you were expecting, but this is the Office of Gun Violence Protection. How long has this office been in existence?
It started in April of 21.
April of 21.
Yes.
Okay. And my understanding is before this office, first we had Ceasefire, then we had Cure. Is that correct?
We did.
Okay. I guess my question is, what is the metric through which you demonstrate success? Because I'll tell you right now, I've listened to your presentation. I've listened to Councilman Thomas's very direct questioning, and I'm not hearing, here's how we show you what we're doing. It's actually improving the situation. Where is that number?
It's foolish for me to give you a number because what we're trying to do is actually improve over time. The goal, as stated, actually, I believe it's on our website. The goal is that we eventually get to a city where gun violence is dramatically reduced. The problem here is that we've been experiencing incredible levels of this for 50 years. It also has not been, there also hasn't been money from a federal perspective to study this. And so we are not in any way against accountability. We're not in any way against metrics, which is why we actually created a whole function of the office purely to evaluate and to measure. And so you can get, and you will get, more detailed, direct numbers and metrics on programming soon. However, what we have now is inputs, which is what you're getting from lots of other programs all across the city that come to the city council talking about what they do. The reason we created this lab.
Mr. Cox, I have to give you pushback on that because I've dealt with programs across the city that do gun violence prevention interruption or do other kind of outreach. I can go to Melissa Sawyer right now with Youth Empowerment Project, and she can produce data showing what her organization has done, what kids they've touched, what was the outcome. I can go to Son of a Saint, great model, too expensive, and they can tell me directly, this is the money that came in, this is what we did with it, here's the outcome. The Silverback Society, which is not funded, I can talk to those guys. They can point me to all the kids they met and what those kids, how that turned out. I guess my question is, as I'm listening to this presentation, I am hearing a think tank. That is what I'm hearing. I'm not necessarily against think tanks, but this is a think tank. Am I incorrect that you're not a think tank?
Yeah, we're not a think tank because we've actually got programs that are happening on the ground. Look, we can talk about some metrics, right? We can talk about recidivism. We can talk about job placement. We can talk about completion rates of programs. But all of those things are secondary in my mind to outcomes. How many people stay out of jail 10 years down the road? How many people actually end up owning homes 10 years down the road? How many people are actually included in the economy 10 years down the road?
Do you know how,
we're not in this.
Mr. Cox, do you know how many companies, and nonprofits will like to say, I promise you this will work out 20 years from now, give me money. Like that's essentially what you're saying. You're saying that we have a vision of how we're going to fix the city in 50 years. Give us these resources. You will not see the outcome in the short term. You will see the outcome 50 years from now or 20 years from now. Is that incorrect?
It's both, right? I mean, first of all, the money that we get from the city is actually quite minimal compared to the total number of funding that is floating all of the initiatives. That's piece one. But piece two is that it's both and, right? To act as if we haven't been in this problem for 50 years and that our predecessors haven't left us with the apparatus to be able to talk about these things in the way that we would like. I mean, that's just That's just the true, naked, honest facts. And
Well,
so our goal is now. Hold on. Please let me. Please let me.
No,
finish.
you're at a council.
Please.
Wait, Mr. Cox.
No.
Mr.
You, sir,
Cox,
you asked me a question.
you are at a council meeting.
I would like to
You
be able
don't
to
get
finish
to
my
talk
thought.
over me,
Sir. You should be
You
respectful.
understand how this works. You are at a council meeting
sir,
right now.
Sir, I refuse to be disrespected.
Right
you asked me a question, and I expect to be given the opportunity. I expect to be given the opportunity to answer that question. It's disrespectful for you to ask a question and not at least give me the space to finish my thought.
Council President Moreno, do you need to explain to Mr. Cox how council meetings work? Do you need to explain to him how council meetings work? I'm the finder of fact.
Sir, I refuse to be disrespected. You asked me a question and I wasn't even allowed to finish my thought. It's clear to me that you actually weren't interested in the answer. It seems as if you're interested in grandstanding.
If you can't give me an answer to a question in
if you can't
5
let me
minutes,
finish my answer,
30 minutes to
it's
give
clear
me
you're
an
not
answer.
Interested in it.
If you need 30 minutes to give me an answer to a simple question, that tells me it's like I'm talking to a talking head on CNN right now.
It looks like the pot calling the kettle black, my friend. Look, maybe
Mr.
what
Cox,
we need to do, Councilwoman, is move on to another council person who's actually interested in asking questions and actually hearing responses. Because I didn't come in here to get into an argument for political grandstanding. We're truly busting our tails, doing everything that we can.
Really?
Certainly,
you're busting your tail? Give me something you have accomplished in the year that you've been around.
Especially by someone who isn't interested in actually hearing what I have to say.
Give me a solution of what you've done. Show me what you've done.
Sir, were you paying attention to the program?
It's clear to me that you actually the entire program.
Number one, we've raised $1.6 million. We've implemented a jobs program that's touched over 174 people over the past 18 months. It's expected to touch another 125 people this year, raised another $250,000. We have implemented a jobs program specifically for people ages 16 to 24 who've been disconnected from work and school. And those individuals, like that program is currently running for the past 9 months. We've also been, we've hired social workers so that we can deliver direct services to individuals and families who have been affected by gun violence, not only in the hospital, but also through an on-scene crisis response. We've also launched the Barbers and Beauticians Initiative to develop a wider network of peace ambassadors so that we have people that we can call on when we're in the midst of trying to do mediation. Sir, we talked about all of this. Either you weren't listening or you didn't care.
No, actually, what you're talking about is independently, you're duplicating the work of existing nonprofits that have done all the same work you're saying. Now you're going to let me talk. This office is akin to having an emissions reduction company in West Virginia while they're pumping coal. If you want to receive money, and you talk about all the money you've gotten, what you leave out, the public doesn't understand is this is a city-funded organization that is competing with existing nonprofits with other organizations to fund itself. But let me tell you why my tenor is what it is. Someone from your office just said, we just discovered that redlining and gentrification led to gun violence. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you this disconnected from the African-American community in the city of New Orleans, of what's been done to our community for years, that this is new information to you? Redlining and gentrification in the hotspots in the city that are caused by crime have existed for generations, and we know this. We've all known this. Every African-American person who's grown up in the city, who has lived here, has known that things in this city have been done to us. For you to get up here and tell me about all these things that you're doing that will yield results in 10 to 20 years, those are your words, not mine. What we need in this city right now is all boots on the ground with a sense of urgency to save lives. And honestly, what I've heard from this organization is more excuses than the DA, the police chief, and the judges combined. Because every one of them had some degree of saying, we could do something better. We could do something better to solve crime in the city. And honestly, I was never a fan of NOLA for life. I wasn't. When I was a senator, I did not think that it was the best spend of money. But what I will tell you is that as someone who is skeptical of the program, it had a result it could point to. I'm not familiar with CURE, so I can't speak to CURE. I don't know what CURE did or didn't do. What I'm telling you is that as a member of the budget committee, I'm interested in budgeting for outcomes. I am not interested in government funded think tanks. I'm not interested